Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, where women share their dreams, struggles, and successes. How they were able to persevere despite the fear and create the life they want and deserve. If you're looking for inspiration to move you past where you normally would stop, then this is the show for you. Here's your host, Melissa Banks.
Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa. You could be with us today. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. Today, we have another amazing woman to share her journey with us and how she was able to keep going despite the circumstances. Today, our guest is attorney Tametrice E. Hodges. Attorney Hodges is a Jackson, Mississippi native. She says growing up in Jackson made her the person she is today, an advocate for the people. She understands the importance of keeping children and families safe, secure, and stable. Her passion for children and families led to her current position at the Hinds County District Attorney's Office as an assistant district attorney. Attorney Hodges now fights for justice, safety, and security for the citizens of Hinds County and recently announced her candidacy for Hinds County Chancery Court District 5, Subdistrict 3. Welcome to the show, Attorney Hodges. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to talk with you and just to kind of get to know you a little bit better so our audience can get to know you. Your story is amazing, and I'm excited to share it. Attorney Hodges, I wanted us to begin with how you became, and when did you know that you wanted to be an attorney? Where did that come from, and when were you clear about that?
Well, it really started at an early age when I lived with my mom. During the time that I did live with my mom would always tell me, I want you to grow up to be better than me, and I want you to grow up to be a lawyer or a doctor. And she used to watch this show called Ally McBeal. And so she thought I would be perfect to be a lawyer based on my little personality from when I was a kid. When the show Ally McBeal was out, I was in middle school. And, of course, as a middle school girl, I had a lot of sass, but I was also very smart. So my mom always impressed upon me to become a lawyer or a doctor. And as I progressed through school over time, I always kind of fought it. I thought I was going to go to journalism school after finishing my undergrad, but instead I was still applying for law school, got into law school, and when I got into law school, I knew I was supposed to be there because at first it was a bit of a struggle trying to make the transition from undergrad to law school, but once I made that transition, which happened pretty quickly, I soon realized, Mom was right. I should be a lawyer. And so once I began practicing as a lawyer, fresh out of law school, helping everyday people, I truly realized, yes, this is where I belong. I had that yes moment, like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is why I get out of bed every morning.
Tametrice, that's really amazing and exciting, and I hope our viewers, our listeners, actually picked up on that because you said, and I shared a similar story in my profession where I did what I do, but it didn't come out the way I thought, but I knew at that moment this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I just love the fact that your mom planted that seed really early, but you felt it. You had that feeling that you can't really describe, but you know that feeling, and you know this is where I'm supposed to be. I absolutely love that. So, and looking at your story, and just heard a little bit about your story that recently, but you found your passion in law because, you can go through a lot of different directions, but your passion is clearly for children and families. How did you realize that that's the direction you wanted to be and that's where you wanted to focus your attention?
I realized that very early on in practice. When I graduated law school, I started working at Morgan & Morgan. And so there, they specialize in being for the people, and they truly mean that they are for the people. And I really took their slogan to heart while I was there practicing those 3 years. And I was there a year prior to my 3 years as a law clerk. And so during that time, I would help a lot of families who were injured on their jobs. And so, of course, the child component never really came up. It was more so the families. And so that's when I realized, I said, hey, I do love working with the families, but then I started volunteering at Mission First, and at Mission First, they handled a lot of issues pro bono for children and families, such as custody, guardianships, adoptions, and child support. And so once I started volunteering with them to help families out on a pro bono basis, that's when I really realized, like, hey, wait a minute, I love the children and families. And over time, I realized where that passion was coming from. It was coming from, my upbringing, all the things that I had experienced growing up, being a child in the foster care system at a very early age, returning to my mom, but then eventually having to be raised by my 7th grade reading teacher of Rowan Middle School and her husband. And so all those experiences growing up with a third party, not necessarily with my own family, really shaped my perspective as a lawyer, and really has me very compassionate when it comes to helping children and families. Those cases are really close to my heart, and I definitely go out of my way. As a family law attorney, I didn't get paid nearly as much as I got paid working at Morgan & Morgan, but it was always that end result that really touched my heart and kept me going, despite the money not necessarily being there. It was always that good deed that I was doing for the children and for their families and making an impact in their life that was lasting. So that's what truly gets me going when it comes to children and families.
Oh, that's awesome. You shared some powerful things about your journey also, because those things in your journey, the being in the foster system, getting out, then having to come back in, and then there were some soldiers there that were willing to take on the gambit at that point. But, that goes to say the whole essence of our show is about pushing through. It's about going forward despite the circumstances. So some might say those were not great circumstances, yes, but it got you, it moved you in the direction of where you were supposed to be, and it gave you that heart and that soul that you talk about that you need when working with children and families. Thank you for sharing that, because that was absolutely amazing to hear. One of the things that I saw about you that I didn't know, you're a foster parent yourself now with 2 girls. Yes. Talk to us about that part of your journey.
So I mentioned earlier that my 7th grade reading teacher and her husband, they took me in, and they came to do that because when I was at Rowan Middle School, of course I lived in a neighborhood in Jackson. I'm a native of Jackson, Mississippi, and I didn't have the resources or the access due to where I lived, and because my mom, she didn't have a job. She was a high school dropout, so she was doing the best she could with 3 children as a single parent. And so when it was time to have class day in 8th grade from Rowan, I didn't have the money to get my hair done or to get a dress. And here I was, the number 2 student in the 8th grade class. And so a group of teachers got together with Carl Twiner, who's a reverend in Jackson, and they got together and decided they would put some money together to help me get my hair done and get a dress. Well, I didn't know my 7th grade reading teacher was a part of that crew of people until she told me the story years later about how she came to get involved with me. I thought she had gotten involved with me because I approached her and asked her if she would help me get into Piney Woods School. And I knew about Piney Woods because my friend who lived a few houses up from me on the same street was attending Piney Woods, and she told me who was her sponsor and who she was living with. And she said, the lady I'm living with, she's the sister of Miss Crockett at Rowan. Go talk to her. So I'm thinking that's how my godmother had gotten involved with me. But she told me, she said, no, Tametrice. She said, we helped you get a dress and get your hair done. But she said, but after that moment, she said, I still had this pull on my heart to really reach out to you and try to help you for some reason, and I never knew why. And she said she looked for my address, could not find the address on me, even though she had asked and even looked in the school file for me. and did not have a telephone number for me, but she had a good idea about where I lived according to what other people were telling her. And so she said she drove down on my street into my neighborhood looking, and there my mother was standing in the yard. And she said that was the only person standing outside that day when she came. And she asked her, hey, do you know who Tametrice Hodges is? And so my mother told her yes, and that's pretty much how she came to be in my life as my godmother. My real mother, allowed her to allow me to go to Piney Woods, and eventually allowed her to take me on as well as her own child. And so because of that experience of being raised by my godparents, I wanted to give back in a good way as well, because, of course, I believe, when someone blesses you with something, you should always, try to share that gift in some way. And so I had a great example in my godmother and her husband, my godfather. So I always had this pull on me to want to help a teenager, because sometimes teenagers are forgotten in the system. But I never really encountered a teenager over the years. Even while doing family law, I was always prayerful that maybe I would encounter a teenager while doing those cases, but never would. And so eventually I decided, well, let me go ahead and look into becoming a foster parent. And so I started looking into the process and then got myself in position to make sure I was ready. And so I applied, went through all the steps that are necessary. And as soon as I got my license, my caseworker called and said, hey, I have 2 boys I'd like for you to go ahead and take in on an emergency basis. She said, I just want to get you ready and go ahead and get you started. And so I had 2 boys when I first got started. They were 4 and 7. And, of course, little boys are very easy because you can put them in practically anything and they all match. The little outfits always match no matter what the shirt or the bottom is for some reason. And all you have to do is give them a haircut, brush their hair, and they're perfect. And so I had them until it was time for them to leave, and they returned to a parent, which was great. They were able to go with the father of the youngest boy. And so I had looked on the Heart Gallery for Mississippi, and I saw a little girl on there. At first I saw the oldest girl, and I said, wow, she kind of looks like someone, but I didn't know who she looked like at first. I'm just looking at her. And it showed that she had a sister, and I saw there was a little sister, and I said, oh, that's perfect, a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old. I said, that could work pretty good for me. And so I called for them, and the caseworker said, oh, we already have someone in place for them, but we will keep you posted if it doesn't work out. And so I was a little disappointed, but I said, okay, maybe, that's not for me. Maybe the girls are not for me. And so later on that same year, I got a call, and they asked, are you still interested in the girls? We have a situation that came up, and we need to place them into a new home as soon as possible. And I said, well, yeah, sure. I said, but let's meet first because, I want the teenager to be comfortable because I know teenagers, they already have their own personalities, and they're not necessarily looking for a new parent. They just, want to be safe. And so I met the girls. Of course, the oldest was talking a lot and spearheading, as I knew she would. And then they came to stay with me. And, of course, when they came, it was a lot of trying to get them adjusted, making sure they're getting adjusted to me and me getting adjusted to them. And so they've been with me almost a year now, and it's been pretty good. They are really great girls. They are the 8-year-old. She had a birthday back in December, so she's 8 now, and big sister will be 14 next month. So it has been really great. They are very smart girls. They just had a not-so-great situation. And, of course, they've had a few, they had a little letdown. It took the court 7 years to terminate their mom's rights, meaning that they were giving mom a whole lot of time to really, get it together for her baby. And mom just didn't. And the girls are now available to be adopted. So I'm giving time for a family member to step up because I know, as a lawyer, I know, once the mom's rights are terminated, then we look to the next of kin, and then we look to a third party or a stranger, and I would be considered under law a third party or a stranger. So we're just waiting to see if a family member will come up, and if not, the girls might be ding, 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 being in a very good spot.
Oh, wow.
And and the 13-year-old, she's actually at that good age.
Story.
Yeah, she's at a great age where she only has 4 years left, and it would be great to get her over the finish line. So they're great.
But we're going to be real prayerful for you. We're going to be real prayerful about that, and thank you for sharing that, because that is so encouraging to all of us to use our journey to push us forward, but also to bring someone along with us. I just want to say right here that if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. Our guest today is attorney Tametrice E. Hodges. Now, Tametrice, you wear some hats, right? You have a lot going on. I heard that you said fighting for children and families can be really tough, and you have to have a lot of grit in that area. You serve as an assistant DA. You're a mom to these beautiful girls. So tell me, where do you go when you feel a little overwhelmed and you need to just get yourself centered and encouraged so that you can keep going?
Well, I follow a very strict routine. So early in the morning, I wake up for 5 o'clock, and I kind of get into my little small room, which is just my bathroom, but I go into there and, I pray, meditate, read the word, or get a devotion just to get my mind right for the day. And then after that, I hit the gym. I really love to go to the gym. That's my way of decompressing to start the day off. And, of course, working out has great health benefits. As I used to own a women's fitness business where we used to do fun fitness. So we didn't do any traditional gym workouts. We did alternative fitness, which is great for women to boost their confidence and self-esteem. And so, but I go to the gym in the mornings, and I may lift weights, I might kickbox, or I might swim, or if I'm not feeling the mood for the gym, I might go out to the track and, run 12 miles, pretty easily, and come on back and get dressed, and I'm off to work, I'm ready to work. So that's how I start my day. So by the time the end of the day comes, I might go walking with the dogs and take the girls and let them ride their bikes just to, decompress at the end of the day.
End of the day. Yeah, that sounds fun. That's great advice as well. So if you weren't doing enough, you have a lot, and you have it under control with your routine, because I'm a big routine person, so I really get that, except I don't do any exercising at all. So I'm not an example about that, but I am big on routine, and I believe routine do keep us balanced. But in case you weren't doing enough, you recently announced another big step in your journey, and that's running for the Hinds County Chancery Court. So tell us how you feel about this big step in your journey. Congratulations again on this decision, though.
Thank you. This is scary is like the first word that comes to mind, because it's quite the task. You feel scared when you first get started, because there are so many moving parts that come with being a candidate, and then also being a part of a campaign. And then, of course, you have, like, when we watch TV and we see, like, presidential campaigns play out or congressional campaigns, those things do happen in local races as well. So I'm trying my best to make sure I just stay extremely focused on being the best candidate that I can be, and stay extremely focused on running a clean campaign that is faith-filled. I always tell my team this campaign belongs to God. It doesn't belong to us, and so we are just here to do what he wants us to do. And I have remained very prayerful and near the cross this whole time, not that I hadn't before, but even more now, because there's just so many things that I need that I know I cannot provide on my own. And it's not like one day I woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to run for judge. Oh, no. I was not interested in getting involved in politics in any capacity. I only like to sit back and watch and support campaigns with a check. That's all I've ever done over the years. But I tried to take other avenues, like in college. I thought I was going to journalism school and not law school. I tried to do the same thing here. I tried to go be a federal prosecutor, but even though there were opportunities, For some reason, things just didn't work out. Those doors were closed. And so this opportunity came up, and I said, well, God, I did ask you to, put it on my path to become a judge, even though I really don't want to get in the campaign. I would prefer to just be appointed. But this is not one of those cases where I have to get out here and put the hand to the plow and stand up and be bold and be courageous like I am in a courtroom and really fight for this. And I'm in it to win it. I feel very good about the race so far. I do have some competition, of course, 2 opponents, but I'm solely focused on myself and solely focused on amplifying my message throughout District 5, Sub-District 3, and winning the hearts of the constituents and hoping that they will know through my message that I am the best candidate to become the next Hinds County Transit Court judge.
Well, I always say if you dream big, even if you're scared, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. So your job is to step through that fear and do it anyway. And again, we're very proud of you in that step and wish you the best of luck. I want our audience to be able to follow you, be able to stay connected with you. So let them know how they can do that with you and all that you do.
Yes, I am on Facebook at Tametrice Hodges, but you can stay connected with my campaign at Hodges for Hinds on Facebook and Instagram, and the 4 is FOR, so Hodges for Hinds on Instagram and Facebook, and I am also on the World Wide Web at HodgesForHinds.com.
Well, that is so amazing. It's been such an honor to talk to you today. Thank you so much for joining us and just sharing your story, because I know it has encouraged our audience that's listening that's also passionate about women and children. And then another thing is just following your dream, even if it doesn't fit what you thought it would fit, and then taking another path and you will find your way. Thank you again, Tametrice, for being here today. And we wish you the best of luck in your upcoming campaign. And thank you to our audience for tuning in to today's. You're welcome. Thank you to our audience for tuning in to today's edition of Dream by Design. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying all your dreams are possible. Believe in yourself, work hard, and don't quit. Until next time, thank you for choosing Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, and enjoy your day.